to this expression and then evaluated the new expression. 9 plus 4 times 6 minus 3. If the value of the new expression is 29, which could be the new expression? So you'll notice that this question is going to ask you to find the new expression based on the value of 29. So you have 4 multiple choice options, and in order to solve this problem, you will be expected to solve each of those multiple choice answers to figure out which one of those is equal to 29. Remember that before you can begin solving a problem, you have to walk through cubes. This is something that I expect you to do for every problem. And it's very important that you do this and show your work for each question on our order of operations test. So C, in cubes, asks us to circle the important numbers. Make sure all important numbers are written in standard form. With this problem, it's asking us to find the value of the new expression. Find the new expression if the value is 29. So 29 is going to be the only number right now that we really need to focus on. U tells us to underline our question, and our question is which could be the new expression. Remember that if we don't understand the question, if we don't understand what it's asking us, we're going to have a very difficult time solving the problem. B, box in the keywords that are going to tell us what operations to do and help us solve the problem. So we need to focus on the words value and is 29. If we know the value of the new expression is 29, we will be able to narrow down which answer choice would be correct. E, evaluate and eliminate. Is this problem single step or multi-stepped? Is there so what information included in the problem? You'll notice that I marked out the sentence at the top of the slide. All of that is so what. None of that's going to really help us solve the problem. And we've already discussed that in order to solve this, we're going to need to work out every answer choice. S tells us to solve the problem. Check your work. Eliminate wrong multiple choice answers. And remember, as always, circle your answer. When you're working out problems such as this and you're having to solve each answer choice, I want you to kind of use the 4 square method. It just helps to organize. You'll notice that in the middle of the 4 square, I put 29 because that's the value of the expression that we're looking for. If you'll go ahead and pause the video and solve each of these problems. Remember, if you get done before the video begins to play again, then turn to your neighbor and discuss. Okay, here are the answers for the previous slide. Go ahead, look over your work, look over what I have on the screen, and double check to make sure that you got the right answer. So when we go through and look, we know we're looking for 29. A says 75. We can mark that out. B was 29. Now if you just stopped working at B, then you didn't do what I asked you to do. Remember, we have to work out every answer choice just in case. So for B, we should place a question mark. C, the answer was 39. That is not correct. We can mark it out. And D says 21, which is also not correct. We can mark it out. So the best answer for this question is B, 29. Is the answer to 9 plus, in parentheses, 4 times 6 minus 3. Remember that when we have several operations in parentheses, we have to again follow those order of operations within them. Let's look at the next question. Clarence is making potato salad for a cookout. He had 5 large bags of potatoes that each weighed 10 pounds. He had 5 small bags of potatoes that each weighed 3 pounds. Write an expression that can be used to determine the total amount of potatoes that Clarence has. Remember, we must first walk through cubes. C, circle important numbers. We know, looking at the bulleted information, there's 5 large bags that weigh 10 pounds each. And there's 5 small bags that weigh 3 pounds each. So 5, 5, 10, and 3. Those are very important numbers. When we underline our question, we know that it's wanting us to write an expression that can be used to determine the total amount of potatoes that Clarence has. B, box in the key words. Okay, well, we know that each of the large bags weighs 10 pounds each. Each of the 5 small bags weighs 3 pounds each. When we're looking at our question, write an expression. That's the most important thing. We're not trying to solve this problem. We are simply writing an expression. E tells us to evaluate. Is this multi-step or single step? Is there information we can get rid of? At the top, Clarence is making a potato salad to cook for a cookout. So what? That's so what information. We can mark that out. Narrow down what we need. Now is your time to pause the video, and I want you to write an expression that can be used using the information from this problem. In just a few seconds, or once most people have solved it, you'll need to replay the video. Remember, if you get done before the video plays again, then turn and talk with your neighbor about this problem only. There's 2 ways that you could solve this problem. You'll see something similar to both of these answers on your test. So the first way that you could do is simply taking 5 and multiplying it by 10, because that'll give us the weight of each of the large bags total. And then we could add that to the product of 5 times 3, the weight of the small bags altogether. And then when we add those 2 numbers, we would get the total amount. So the expression could be 5 times 10 plus 5 times 3. Another way we could do this is by using the distributive property. In both of these, with the large bag and the small bag, we have 5 of each. So we could first add 10 plus 3, and then multiply that sum by 5. You'll see the use of the distributive property on your test. Let's look at the next question. Which expression has the same value as 2 plus 6 times 6 plus 1? As always, we have to walk through cubes first. Okay, so I've circled our key numbers, important words, and I put a circle around that whole expression. Now we're wanting to know which one has the same value as this expression. So part of cubes says to make sure all important numbers are written in standard form. If we want to know the value of this, you're going to have to solve for that first. We can't determine which of our choices has the same value if we don't know the value of the original expression. Okay, same value I've boxed in. You may have thought that we should box in which expression is something that I hear from you guys, so you could have done that, but for my video I just did same value as. Okay, so evaluate, eliminate. This problem's very similar to our first one. So with this one, you're also going to need to work out each of your multiple choice options. So I've set that up for you in this next slide. Go ahead now, pause the video, work these out. In just a few minutes, go ahead and start the video back. Alright guys, so you'll notice that I went through and solved each of these problems. Remember, before we could even determine which of our multiple choice answers would be correct, we had to solve for the value of the original expression. So that would be equal to 56. A, the answer was 19 when we solved that expression, so that would not be right. B also would not be right with the answer of 28. C, 56. You should have question marked this and kept working. D, we got 39. So C would be the best answer for this problem. Okay, a couple more problems. Let's look at one in which we're going to also have to write an expression. The directions for a calculation problem are to subtract 7 from 16 and then multiply by 4. Write an expression that shows this calculation. So on the screen, I've gone ahead and worked through cubes. Okay, C. Important numbers, 7, 16, and 4. These are the numbers that we'll be working with. All of them are in standard form. Our question is telling us to write an expression that shows this calculation. We're not solving, we are simply writing an expression. B, box in the keywords. So I've boxed in subtract 7 from 16 and then multiply by 4. These are our keywords. So now we need to evaluate. This is going to require us to find out which step is going to come first, which step is going to come second. I want you to turn to your neighbor, and I'll give you a second in the video. Turn to your neighbor and tell them, which of these things do you think is going to come first? Which do you think will come second? Turn and talk. Class. I'm wondering if that worked through the video. So, let's go and look. We definitely should subtract 7 from 16 first, and then multiply by 4. The key words there to let us know that multiplying comes second is where it says, and then. So, I've already given you the answer because I worked ahead of myself. So, we're going to write down 16 minus 7 because we're taking 7 away from 16. Don't get confused and write 7 minus 16. Okay, the problem says we're taking 7 away from 16. Then we multiply by 4. If you only wrote 16 minus 7 times 4 without any parentheses, according to the order of operations, we would have to do multiplication first. That's why we have to put parentheses around 16 minus 7, because that's what we want to do first. Okay, one last problem, and then you guys will be able to do the independent ones on your own. Okay, what is the value of this expression? Now, we've talked about order of operations while I was at school. I know that seems like forever ago. But we should still have our anchor chart up on the wall that you can use for help. Remember, according to the order of operations, and let me see everybody, I'm going to visualize, and you guys are going to do it with me. Use your hand signals and say it with me. Parentheses, exponents, multiply and divide, left to right, add and subtract, left to right. Remember when we do the parentheses, we do our parentheses, our braces, our parentheses, our brackets, then our braces. In this problem, we only see parentheses and the brackets. Pause the video now. Go ahead and solve this problem and press play again in just a few minutes. Alright, so the very first thing that we would do is what is in our parentheses. 9 plus 3 is 12. Remember, you mark that off, drop everything else down. Okay, now we still have several operations within our brackets, and we have to follow the order of operations within those. So, we don't have exponents, but we do have division. So, we're going to divide first 60 divided by 20. 60 divided by 20 is 3, so we'll put that down, mark it out, drop everything else down. Still working within those borders, we'll do 12 minus 3 equals 9. Okay, now you'll notice that we have an 8 right beside our bracket. That's telling us we're going to multiply.